If we ever get a Librarian, do you think it'll operate similar to the Darktide Psyker or a Deathwing Librarian? Or maybe a mix of the two? Among some of the classes I'd like to see added, Librarian and a Terminator is what I want to see added the most. Probably won't happen, but one can dream. Yeah, we did get, I'm pretty sure we got confirmation they were going to add a new class down the line. However, it's been a long time since they talked about it, so I hope they didn't forget, or maybe, something happened in development where it's not going to happen. But frankly, I think honestly, a new class in this game would be really, really good. It adds a lot of time. Frankly, I just, from jumping from class to class and trying out different things, it added a lot of time. It's very fun because you switch up your styles, and yeah, it's like a different way to approach the game. So that's why a new class would be extremely important to the longevity of the game, I believe. Now, I did see people mention about Terminator. It's like there's like a specific mode they could put in, and you know what? I think that would be cool also. But I want to focus on the Librarian because I recently built a Librarian, and I also play Psyker. So I kind of have a good mix of an actual game experience with this subject. And, just frankly, I don't have a lot of tabletop experience, but I was reading the rules to that class like quite a bit, and they seem pretty strong. They seem pretty strong because it's like you have Psyker abilities, but you also have the ability to have like a giant axe, because at the very least, the Librarian that I have for my Space Marine army also has Terminator armor as well. And they even have a picture here of a Librarian with Terminator armor. I guess that's from Deathwing. I'm not too sure what Deathwing is, but yeah, this looks cool. And dude, like a Librarian in the game, if it's anything like if it's anything like the Deathwing Librarian, might be too strong. Because just figure how strong its Psyker is, right? And now give him Terminator armor. It's like, what? That could possibly be a little bit overtuned, you know what I mean? So obviously, I guess you can't put Terminator armor on a Librarian. Unless, you know what, they just do it. And I don't know, it does look super cool though. Like, the idea of it's super cool. But the Librarian I have in mind has a Force Axe as well, which would be a new weapon, so and it would be very cool to see a Librarian. I think so let's say if they were to aim in between these two, basically like a tanky Librarian, like a force of nature, the strongest class in the game, something like that, and then something more unique and specialized like the Psyker, I think they should, definitely aim towards the Psyker. I would rather see cool abilities rather than cool equipment, essentially. Basically, if the Librarian has a really good Q or really good ult, it would just, it would basically be the defining factor of the class and not so much his base stats. So, yeah, I think it would operate closer to the Psyker. Now, I'm not too sure exactly what abilities they would have. That's why we're making this video. We want to get down to this, okay? We're getting to the bottom of this situation. How would a Librarian operate in Space Marines 2? Definitely let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this, because I think the Librarian just went up to the top of the class list for me over Apothecary, because I just think a Librarian fits in the game it fits in the game well. It has its unique properties that doesn't overshadow any class, because we don't have any psychic abilities or force abilities in Space Marines 2 as far as what we can play as. Obviously there's sorcerers and stuff, but the thing is, a Librarian with a Terminator armor would probably be overpowered. But regardless, let me know in the comments how you feel, and yeah, let's see the community's reaction to building a Librarian, essentially. While yes, Psykers are lore OP, 3 Marines shouldn't be able to take down what they take down in the game. Well, they're named Space Marines, right? So that's like a whole different ballpark. At least that's what I've been gathering. Dude, also I've been doing a little bit of lore deep dives here and there. So I'm definitely getting my. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier when I was getting into lore. It's like, dude, I'm going to end up just like tipping my toes in, and then eventually I'm just going to know everything I need to know. There's a lot to it, man. There's a lot to it. So it's better to take your time, because that's the best way to do it anyway. I'm of the mindset that we can take lore power scales and put it aside. Okay, that's fair. I think the loadout for the Psyker would be Power Sword, Force Sword, or Void Staff. All loadouts have no guns. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I think the fact that they're labeling it a Psyker, you know, it's a Librarian. We're not adding a Psyker in Space Marines 2. We're adding a Librarian. Okay. However, you know what? I'm not 100% sure if Librarians are lore, like in the lore. Do they always have Terminator armor? I just figured since there was the mini with a Librarian with Terminator armor, that was more like a specialized situation. But yeah, this person keeps saying Psyker, so I don't know. The Force Sword would emphasize melee play with minor ranged Psyker attacks that could scale with the weapon. Oh, I really like this idea. So like Assault, but maybe they can activate a Void Shield, so it's not a carbon copy. They could also maybe do a short range teleport. If you want to trade for mobility, a teleport would be desirable as the jump from Assault can sometimes be dangerous. Dude, I like the way they are comparing these two. Essentially, yes, I think that works. I think that works. I guess, you know, the Assault Slam should obviously be, its own thing. It should be unique. You jump up in the air, you slam down. Compared to the teleport, it's just a teleport, and it would be kind of weird if you teleport in and, like, slam down. That would be, like, the same thing. So maybe you should teleport in and, I don't know, like, AoE. See, that's the same thing. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Maybe a teleport should be specific to an enemy. That could be too strong as well. Yeah, I don't know. The teleport's an interesting idea, but it seems kind of hard to build at the moment. The Void Staff would focus on ranged combat. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I definitely think that's a good idea. Doing powerful AoE spells and a few single target attacks. This way, it's a bit of a blend of heavy and sniper, rather than replacing one or the other. Other class ideas, Chaplain, yeah, we did Chaplain Apothecary. Tech Marines we haven't talked about, but I'll save that for later. And yeah, okay, so, oh wait, they have a grain of salt thing here. Let's read that. Again, let's take this all with a grain of salt. Why there are so many different colored Ultramarines running around, they can probably justify it as a successor chapter sending reinforcements. Then in that same vein, it could be any one special asset from the numerous successors running around. It is a video game, and we have to allow ourselves flexibility in order to get the game we all want to play. I agree. The teleport idea, though. I'm just not 100% sure if we can truly make the teleport unique from the Assault Slam. However, you know what? I guess the Assault Slam, you can jump up in the air and use your gun, but you can't even do that in operations for whatever reason. Not that it even has that many uses in operations, since you're very, you don't need to jump over cover or anything like that. The Force Sword, it's, the Power Sword, I guess. Yeah, and then the Staff. The Staff's a good idea. I really like the Staff. So, like, Staff and Power Sword would be kind of sick, to be honest. Dude, that would look so cool. Oh my god. But yeah, the teleport. Like, yeah, let me know if you have any ideas for the teleport, or if you have an idea for a different ability for the Librarian. Yeah, let's just try to make it, a little bit different than the jetpack slam from the Assault. But I do think they're comparable. I do think there is, like, that's the way to really make the Librarian unique, is basically try to make it as, it's similar to the Assault, as in, like, the teleport and the jump attack, but try to make it a bit unique. And I think, I think that'll be a good start for the Librarian for sure. Don't think we will ever see a Librarian, as the entire gameplay loop is based around melee combat and a set of ranged weapons that each have specific roles. I mean, from what we've read so far, there's ways to do that. And, like, the Force Axe, so, I'm not sure. The only thing that makes me skeptical is the Terminator armor, essentially. And I guess the Librarian could teleport without it, but I'm not too sure if that's fair or true. I would love a Terminator experience, however, but I am unsure how they could pull it off. Yeah, I mean, that's why we're making these videos, right? Librarians are obscenely powerful and wouldn't fit in Talassa. Okay, that's fair. And honestly, I definitely understand that. From what I've been reading about, the tabletop game and the Librarian mini, it's like, dude, that thing does feel pretty strong. It's just like, it's interesting because they have the Terminator armor, and then they also have the psychic abilities, and it's just It's just like, dang, that's not it. There's no drawbacks there. You know what I mean? Maybe the range, maybe, but if they're potentially able to teleport, then I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. I do like the staff idea, though. I really do. I think it's possible. But yeah, I do understand people's points where it's like it's a gun and melee game. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen unless a news story drops and it's all Terminators and/or HQs. I think the way things are going, it will be part of an expansion where Titus becomes an elite unit, Terminator or otherwise. But that's way far off, if ever. Yeah, so the Terminator, like the different mode for the Terminator idea, that's definitely something they pulled off in Space Marine 1. So, at least if I understand that correctly. So it's definitely something that they could do for this game, as well as like if they put in Terminator armor, it'll be a separate mode essentially. Never say never, but you really need to understand what chaplains, librarians, tech marines, and apothecaries are before we consider how they might fit into the game. Yeah, so far, just for the record, I believe chaplains and apothecaries are the easiest to apply. But that's interesting. Okay, so I'd also seen a comment where somebody said some of these, some of these chapters only have like one librarian. I didn't know they were that rare. That's pretty cool. That's definitely cool. So I don't know. I would love to see a librarian in the game because learning all the lore about it and, getting really into essentially, Terminator armor and what I'm looking forward to trying out in the tabletop. It's just like librarians seem super cool. They seem fun to actually engage with, so I would like to see that. And I like the name too, Librarian. And it's kind of like, it kind of downplays how strong they are, Because like from what I think of a librarian, it's, obviously just, somebody telling you to shh. So, regardless, let me know in the comments how you feel about it, because this is definitely a conversation that I think is very fun to have, especially now that I know a little bit more about the lore and the specifics of certain, classes and what certain chapters are able to actually pull off. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any good ideas for a librarian class. I do think that would be one of the coolest ways to go about it is, maybe a librarian Terminator armor, maybe a separate mode, something like that. But hey, we will see. We will see.